Hi, this is Andrew Markus from Film Music Mentor. Today, the top 4 music mistakes content creators make. So, the top 4 music mistakes made by content creators. So, content's a big thing. It's happening everywhere. It's ubiquitous. Every company, every person is creating some sort of content to promote themselves, their brands, whatever it is. But there's a lot of mistakes in this arena around music. So there's an inherent problem with content. Not a problem with the content, but a challenge, let me say, regarding music. So content is kind of an ad, right? And it's kind of entertainment. It's somewhere in between. And I think if we're honest, it's really an ad. So content can run, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, or, 8, 9 minutes, depending on this situation. And how do you keep the music fresh and functional and really useful? So there are 4 mistakes to avoid. The first mistake, choosing music based on your taste or what you think your perceived audience will like, opposed to telling a story. So if you have a piece of content that's a minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes, you have to tell a story. And if you're going to tell a story in a motion picture, then it needs to be scored properly. Either scored by a person writing music or picking music from a library or songs or however you want to do it. But it has to be done right, and you have to tell your story. You can't tell your story, you have to tell the story of the content. So that requires looking at what's the story you're telling, not who are you, but what's the story you're telling, and choosing music based on that. Number 2, the desire to have a hit song in your content, a song that's used over and over by lots of other people. Well, there's 2 problems. One, it could be an economic issue. If you're creating content for a company, a huge company that can afford anything, well, maybe the whole purpose of the content is just to say, hey, we're here, we're big, we're huge, we can afford this song, and that's fine. That's totally cool. Happens all the time. But most of the content out there isn't that scenario. So we have to be a little more creative about how we choose our music. And so the problem with these songs that are hit songs is that so many people license them and so many people use them. You're really just branding the song. You're not branding yourself or your client by using a hit song. It's really a big mistake. Um, you wouldn't want to be Adidas and wear a Nike shirt. That's kind of what you're doing by using a hit song. Um, Again, if the pockets are deep and it doesn't matter and all we need is your presence out there to remind people that you're there, that's fine. But again, it's not the case. So I would recommend, if your client or you are thinking about using a hit song, to just reevaluate your motives and why you want to do that. It kind of goes along with the first one. Why would you tell someone else's story? Look, a song could work perfectly, but I think this is something that I come up against a lot, and I think there are a lot better solutions than just picking a song that everybody likes. 3, this is a little more practical. I see a lot where there's a song in a piece of content, and there's lyrics being sung while there's dialogue being spoken or someone on screen talking, and it conflicts. And the truth of the matter is that the catchy tune and the lyrics are going to win because it's just pleasant. There's a nice tune there. There's music there. And the ear will gravitate towards the lyrics of the song and not towards your message. So I would recommend, when using vocal music in a piece of content, don't use sections with singing while you have an on-camera presence or a voiceover, because they compete. Um, if you don't have any dialogue whatsoever, then it doesn't really matter, and that's fine. But be careful about that. Last, and this is the biggest thing, and this is the thing that I think people grapple with the most, uh, using static music that doesn't build or change or go anywhere. Go anywhere, that's kind of like a highfalutin phrase we musicians use. But it's important in content that We don't stick on one piece of music that's very repetitive and keep it going for a minute or two or three or four. For a 30-second commercial, that's fine. We're giving an audience a lot of information in 30 seconds, right? But if a content piece is 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you need music that's going to change or the music will be useless. Within 4 to 6 seconds, that music will go in the back of their mind. It'll just be noise. It will not function whatsoever. So you need to have music that builds, changes, and helps craft your story the way it would in, say, a short film. So content maybe should be thought of more like a short film. Another thing that I like to do when I'm working on content is sometimes I'll get a project. They have a piece of music in there that just goes for a minute, two, three, and I will select two, three, four, six different pieces of music and put them in different places for impact. This is much more functional. This is much more effective, and the piece will pop. So if budget's a concern, try to make a deal with a music library. Maybe they'll license you 6 songs or something. There are ways to do it. There are people who can help. There's always a way to make this work. But don't have one piece of music going the whole time and expect anyone to be interested. It just doesn't work. You'll lose them, I promise you. So I'm not trying to be too harsh, but it's important to mix it up for that content. If it's more than 2, if it's 3 minutes, you need several pieces of music to make it work. So the 4 things, again, to look out for is 1, choosing music based on your taste or what you think your audience will like. Choose music that tells the story of the content. 2, think twice before going for that song that everyone else wants. Because everyone wants it, then it doesn't really make you stand out because everyone else is using it. 3, be careful of using music with lyrics and singing when you have VO or dialogue or on-camera dialogue. And lastly, using static music will kill your content. Change it up. Use music that either builds and changes or use several different pieces of music. This will make your content so much more interesting. Thank you. This is Andrew Markus and Film Music Mentor.